As the campaign for the 2027 presidential election is about to begin, some of the presidential candidates today attend peace signing ceremony in Abuja, upholding the agreement to conduct themselves non-violently and run away from hate speech. In the aftermath of flooding in Abuja, the Minister of the FCT has highlighted plans to begin demolition of some properties he said is owned by Abuja big men and they're built along waterways. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Sean Akimale for you here in our Abuja studio. Tonight I'm bringing you some of your biggest stories in the land, and I'm trying to cover the ground so you are up to speed. So stick around with me in the next 60 minutes or so. We'll be bringing you some of the latest and perspectives to the issues. But before we get into all of that, I'm going to serve you your political roundup stories, but majorly, President Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, both of them were absent at the peace signing ceremony. What does that mean for the commitment to uphold peace and peaceful conduct and non-violent hate speech ahead of the elections, which campaign is to resume in the next few hours? Implications when we saw this kind of situation in the past, what it portends and what happened, and what we're to expect in the coming days from these politicians who gather today in Abuja in engaging themselves in commitment to peaceful elections. I'll be bringing you perspective to that tonight, plus giving you a soundbite on what Minister Nyesom Wike said about the Osun elections and about demolition, which we understand has commenced in Abuja. That will all be our focus tonight, but that's going to be after the political roundup stories.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has projected that Nigeria's registered voter population will exceed 100 million ahead of the 2027 general elections. The commission said it was also stepping up preparations for a nationwide voter education and communication campaign aimed at ensuring effective voter mobilization and greater public confidence in the electoral process. INEC National Commissioner, who is chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Mohammed Haruna, disclosed this in Abuja at a joint implementation meeting of the Commission's Department of Voter Education and Publicity and Gender and Inclusivity. To Delta State, where Senator representing Delta South Senatorial District, Joel Onowakbo Thomas, is commending Delta State Governor and leader of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Sheriff Obuwori, for his efforts towards fostering unity and reconciliation within the party. Joel Onowakbo spoke against the backdrop of a reconciliation meeting with Honorable Prince Michael Diden, popularly known as Ejele, a Didens resident in Sabele. The meeting, attended by senior APC leaders, government officials, and stakeholders from across the senatorial district, culminated in Diden's decision to withdraw the court case he instituted against Senator. The Liberation People's Party, LPP, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to respect the recent appeal court's judgment. The national chairman of the party, Honorable Abubakar Dugara, made the call at his first National Executive Committee NEC meeting in Abuja. The LPP leader urged members not to relent in supporting the party by strengthening its unity towards the party's goal in winning elected offices during the 2027 polls. At the NEC meeting, the chairman highlighted the party's manifesto, which is anchored on good governance, ending political exclusion, and addressing economic inequality. Lastly, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has assured the people of the state that his administration will continue to provide critical infrastructure and address pressing developmental needs despite limited time left in office. Governor Fubara gave the assurance while commissioning the reconstructed 12.1-kilometer Egui-Afara Mba Road in Eche local government area of the state. He says the remaining period of his administration will not stop him from delivering projects that would have lasting impact on the people.
There you have it, your political roundup stories. Let's begin here in the FCT and let me bring you up to speed with us. It's happening. The rains are here and it's pouring so heavily, and the FCT is getting a very terrible side of the rainfalls, and we're seeing a lot of it on the roads, and these days it's getting really out of hand. So the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has come to town to say most part of the waterways have been blocked by erection of properties and houses along the waterways. The minister today at the press conference says most of the properties in question are owned by politicians and very notable persons in the society. And he says that some of these properties will be demolished to give way for appropriate water flow along the waterways in the FCT. Take a listen to the Minister of the FCT.
Unfortunately, we have gone there and we have seen how people have blocked channels where in the master plan, that is the right way where water is supposed to be channeled. People by their positions have blocked it, believing that nothing will happen. Now you have done your own by blocking the water channel and nothing has happened. Thank God the flood has come. You have drawn our attention to the place. Now something will happen. I'm going to bring those houses down. Any house that's found on the channel, water channel will go down.
All right, it does look like from what we're hearing that some of these houses, the bulldozers have commenced work. But that was not the only thing that the FCT minister said. You know, once you ask him on questions relating to politics, you tickle him because he's actually very strong on politics. So the minister said today that the APC would have won the recent Osun governorship election if President Bola Tinubu had deployed the influence and machinery of the federal government to secure victory for the party. Take a listen to what he had to say about the Osun election, which of course I'll bring it to you just when my producer tells me it's ready. So today we saw what will be a milestone in the 2027 general election race as politicians and political parties gearing up for the campaigns, which will resume in a matter of hours. So what we saw today is the peace accord signing ceremony, which took place in Abuja. We saw party leaders and notable presidential candidates coming together and making an agreement that they will conduct themselves peacefully and honorably for a peaceful, fair, and credible elections. INEC is also making commitment that it doesn't belong to any political party, and it will be free. It will be fair to all. Let me allow you to listen to the organizers of the peace accord, what their commitment and the reasons behind the peace accord summit.
We learn here is that the president, I remember President Buhari was so excited that he said the peace committee must not go anywhere, and he turned to Babachir, who was the secretary to government. He said, please find them an office immediately. Get the peace committee a permanent office. But when we went back and had conversation, we decided we will not take an office from government. And I think why the peace committee has remained, even if it is one person or two people, why we have remained credible is because we are not being funded by the government. And this is why I would like to thank the European Union, because they have stepped in and they have been responsible. And they have followed us every step of the way. So everything we have achieved today would probably not have been possible without the support of the European Union. Your Excellency, I want to please beg you to convey our appreciation and gratitude, and that we really appreciate this encouragement.
Signing today was established in 2019 to promote political campaigns and rally based on issue related to Nigeria rather than sentiment. It is an accord that calls on political parties and candidates to compete fairly on the issue of ideas, policies, and programs, debate opposition views respectfully, mobilize supporters peacefully and responsibly, protect voters and respect electoral institutions, and reject hate speech, incitements, misinformation, and other form of spiteful narrative that will lead to intimidation and violence.
This marks the statutory commencement of public campaigns and rallies for the 2027 general election, as stipulated in the Electoral Act and the revised timetable and schedule of activities released by the Commission. As we are all aware, the presidential and National Assembly elections will take place on Saturday, 16th of January 2027, while the governorship and the state houses of assembly will be held on the 6th of February 2027. That we gather on the very eve of this crucial milestone of commencement of political campaign is both deliberate and profound. Before the first campaign flag is unfurled, before the first rally is staged, and before our political rhetoric fills our public space, it is necessary that those who seek to lead this nation first gather to establish the ethical boundaries of their contest. We are scaling our operational logistics to manage a massive nationwide ad hoc workforce of 1.4 million personnel across over 176,000 polling units. As the electoral umpire, INEC commitment to you and the people of Nigeria is unwavering. Our responsibility is to ensure that the ballot is protected.
The real test begins when campaigns become instance, when political competition becomes heated, when allegations are made, when results are disputed, and when political interests are placed under pressure. This is when the commitments made here today must become real. I therefore respectfully call upon all political parties, candidates, and their supporters to sign this accord not only with their hands, but with their conscience. Let us make the 2027 campaigns a contest in which Nigeria hear what each political party and candidates intends to do for the country.
That was the event organized by the National Peace Committee. And let's get started with it. You see, the co-convener is Bishop Matthew Kuka. And the Kuka Center is being part of the organization of this peace signing ceremony. And we're seeing it in even off-cycle elections where commitment is being made by politicians and political parties to a non-violent rhetoric, narrative that is not with hate speech, and campaign that is more informative and issue-based rather than attacks. I'm being joined by the national coordinator of the Kuka Center, Father Berkindo, who is live for us here in our studio. Thank you so much, Reverend Father, for joining us.
Thank you, Shehu, for having me.
Appreciate it. How did you go today?
Not so much as expected, but really it went very, very well. Really,
it may not be regarded as highly successful, but it was conducted anyways.
It was successful in our opinion, and it's a template we really want to take forward, looking at what we are expecting. So I think it was good.
I mean, how it's not as expected. So there are expectations. Why did it fall below your expectation in the first place?
No, I mean, I'm not a spokesperson for any of the candidates that didn't attend. I'm a spokesperson for the Peace Committee. And I think from the level of the Peace Committee, we did whatever was humanly possible. We sent out letters of invitation. We explained the reasons and the culture that we want to establish. So I think from that point of view, it was successful. And we look forward to working with the politicians and with relevant institutions to see that we really, really establish that culture where campaigns will begin with programs, manifestos, and ideas and issues that are relevant to the concerns of Nigerians, rather than all these personal attacks that we see. Because we have experienced that in 2023, and we really want to get away from it.
So, this is not a legal commitment.
Absolutely.
The National Peace Committee assignment is not bound by any law, not by any act of parliament, but it's just an initiative of eminent Nigerians who want peace. And we saw perhaps what a lot of people, there are those who will say it actually started around 2015, but the Peace Committee will say it was in 2019, organized peace accord signing. But after 2011 election, we saw core members were killed in the rhetoric and the narrative in Bauchi, and that was a watershed in the conduct of the election, at least in the Fourth Republic in this country. And that was when Nigerians, many Nigerians started coming together to say, we need to watch it across ethnic and religious lines, and they came together. The Peace Committee also came together. But when we wonder, this is just merely, well, don't let me say merely, because moral standards are the core of the fabric of our society. This is largely a moral duty, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. But I think for me, it's much more than that. And the history you made reference to 2011. But let us even go back to 2007 with the Kenyan experience. And I think that experience motivated Kofi Annan and others to come into this country. Because even when you look at judicial processes and cases, sometimes there are issues where they ask you to go and settle out of court, which means that there are certain respectful and influential voices that you may actually need to help you, provide some bit of mediation. So it is true that the peace accord increasingly has become a moral force, a moral compass. But beyond that, you know that the chief witnesses to the accord itself, the Inspector General of Police, and of course, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And both of them constitutionally are empowered by law. So what we have done is to monitor compliance. Where there are violations, we collect the evidence and the data and hand it over to those who are empowered by law to absolutely enforce. And I think for me, going forward, the National Peace Committee will actually think more creatively. If, for example, the accord itself can become part of the Electoral Act, so that people can actually come and sign, and parties can sign, and when they violate the Electoral Act as well.
But those, so sorry, apologies to Button. When you do not have an Electoral Offences Commission, Justice Lemo committee report, as Inamani report had indicated that we need this kind of committee structure to be able to prosecute election-related offenses, but that does not exist. Sometimes you see INEC saying they cannot, and sometimes these responsibilities being pushed around. If the Peace Committee, for example, gets a report that politician A or B is responsible for the killing or making a statement that is that could endanger the lives of anyone, who do you send the report to? What happens?
We send the report to the... So one of the things we have done is we did what we call the annotation of the peace accord, which means every single clause and provision of the peace accord, we have linked it to the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and other extant laws, which means if you violate any of the clauses, you are actually violating the Constitution. And I think, in my opinion, you don't need to wait until you have Electoral Offences Commission. No, there are other serious agencies of enforcement in this country can easily take.
But has the committee been able to effect some of the punishment, implications of utterances, of misbehaviors?
It is not the responsibility of the committee, the National Peace Committee, to do that. Our responsibility is to gather the evidence and the data and to hand that over, and we have done it.
Has any action been taken upon the report?
Then you can actually now speak to INEC and to the police, who we partner very, very strongly with in all the off-cycle elections.
The reason why I'm asking this, Father, is the peace accord. There are those who say it's without a teeth. And you look at it, Nigerians have been signing peace accords since the 2015 election cycle. 10 years on, politicians still trade threats, hate speech, inflammatory rhetoric and narrative. What exactly happens to a candidate who signs this document today and violates tomorrow beyond public condemnation that we have seen? That's my point exactly.
I respect their opinions, but I beg to disagree for two reasons. The first reason is that you have to look at it holistically at the national level. The culture of impunity and lack of compliance with laws in this country is a big problem. And it's not just the problem of the National Peace Committee. And what the committee is trying to do is to encourage, is to support, is to contribute. And the other element is to look at it historically, in the sense that if you look at what happened in 2011, the killings that happened after the announcement of the election results, when Jonathan won the election. But if you look at that time right up to 2026, this widespread level of violence has substantially reduced because the Peace Committee is conducting these travels, talking to governors, talking to politicians, explaining to them if these things happen, you have to be held accountable. Yeah. And I think in one way or the other, the level of violence and killings that we have seen from 2011, we haven't seen that again. And I'm not saying that entirely the Peace Committee will take the glory for that, but I think they have made substantial contribution, in that aspect.
There are those who will say that it does look like some candidates are above the Peace Committee initiative. And we have seen it that candidates will not just go. The same way, they will run away from debates and they will think that whatever, they don't really care about the opinions of Nigerians. What they know is that there's some way, somehow, they will win an election, whether the opinions of people count or not. And this moral fabric, which forms the essence of our society, is being neglected, is being trampled upon. For example, President Bola Tinubu was not at the peace. He sent a representative. Atiku Abubakar and the ADC were absent from the peace signing accord. Doesn't these speak volume?
I mean, it speaks even more than volume, but I can't speak for them. I'm not their spokesperson. But from my experience working with the Peace Committee, there are certain times when they come, and there are certain times really when they don't. They send other...
Is it respectful to this nation where an important event of this nature, because does it not speak what they stand for? Their absence means that they don't commit. They don't want to directly commit. And that's why this kind of violence and the rhetoric we see in our election, does it give concern to the Peace Committee, for example?
I mean, I don't live in their hearts to know really why and the reasons why they did it.
It's the extrapolation that we're trying to make. The inference, what this means. If someone refuses to come for dinner, if you invite them to dinner, and they are in the country, they are in their homes in Abuja, they are in the palaces and the villas, and they don't attend, doesn't that speak volume?
It speaks volume, but what I'm trying to say is very simple. They may have their own reasons, but from the perspective of the Peace Committee, we laid out all our invitations. We encourage all the political parties, all the candidates to come, and we know that their presence would have given a lot of significance to really what we are trying to do.
Did they give any reasons for their absence?
They all acknowledged the letters of invitation. They assured us they were coming. So what we are trying to do is to look forward to the peace accord that will be coming up shortly before the actual elections will take place on the 16th. And I think on behalf of the Peace Committee is to encourage every candidate, because at the end of the day, the Peace Committee members are not paid. These people have worked at the highest level of government. They just want to contribute to a peaceful, credible, and stable Nigeria. And I think that working with the parties, working with the candidates will actually help. So we hope and pray that going forward, all of us as Nigerians will take this process very seriously. Yeah. Because a lot of people think that, oh, this thing is not turning out to be the way. But that is not what we believe. We must have hope in this country. And finally, for me, we are trying to create a culture of political engagement, political competition that has some sense of civility and decency, particularly in the way and manner we talk, not about personal insults, personal attacks. If you look at 2023, during the first signing of the peace accord, about 43% violations. And out of these 43, 58% came mostly from the spokespersons. And normally when you have all these insults and attacks and fake news and false allegations and accusations, they build up the tension towards whether people at the end will accept the result of the elections or not. Because, and we want to avoid that.
Yeah, because the fear is that a lot of the times, the issues of violence is not always ordered by the candidate.
Absolutely.
At least publicly. Because their thugs and their supporters, are the ones who carry out some of these. Candidates can sign accord in Abuja, but violence is often driven by party officials, supporters, and local actors hundreds of kilometers away. But what a lot of them cannot run away from, you as a political party leader or a candidate, you cannot deny those who are working for you at the grassroots and say, well, I do not know him. Because they are killing for your sake. They are killing to give votes to you, to add value to you. And they are saying all of these things for you. You cannot deny. They cannot put your posters out 2 years before an election and you say you don't know anything about it. And they have started campaigning against the law and you say you don't know anything about it. Candidates now raising their hands and denying their supporters or their acolytes is terribly unacceptable. What do we do? Institutional breach of the process is the problem here.
There is a certain level of responsibility that leadership brings. So you don't just enjoy the privileges that come with leadership. You must take responsibility. And part of that responsibility is the way you educate, the way you lead by example, the way you teach and sensitize both your followers, your team, your officials. And that's why if you look through, one of the things we have done is setting up what we call the Election Security Information Hub. Now we have signed, officially the campaigns will begin tomorrow. The first thing we are going to do is to begin to monitor the candidates, monitor the parties, right from the interviews they have, the articles, the opinion pieces, the rallies, the things they say. And when we did that in September 2022, by January, we called the presidential candidates and the party chairman to a meeting. And we said, look, the way we are going, this country can get, really, really terribly. So we need to watch the way we talk, the way we sensitize. And I think for us, this is what we really intend to do. So we are going to monitor every single movement throughout the campaign rallies and report back to them that the way we are going is not helping us. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for development, we are looking for unity, we are looking for stability. And what you say can actually shape and influence the way and the manner your own followers act and conduct themselves.
Father Atta Barakindo is the Executive Director of the Kuka Center and the spokesperson of the National Peace Committee. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Happy for having
Thank you so much, Dean. We'll take a break, but when we come back, one of those who attended today, a presidential candidate, will be joining me, and we'll look at the implications of the Peace Accord ceremony 2027, the race, and the rhetorics. After this break, everyone. Join us again. Thanks so much, everyone. What is peace? When people are not really committed to it? Well, isn't the people who are supposed to be living for a reason, such as a peaceful conduct of an election? And so what's an election when it's not conducted in a peaceful atmosphere? So it's important for us to understand the implication of those absent and those present. I'm being joined by the presidential candidate of the SDP, one of those who signed the peace accord today. What does it contain? What are the commitments and why the agreement to peaceful election? Prince Adewale Adebayo is my guest tonight on the program. Thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here. May God bless Nigeria.
Absolutely. You signed it. So what did you commit to?
Well, basically, what I committed to is what the law says. Elections must be based on issues. And we've always been campaigning on issues. We do not attack personalities. We do not campaign
against identities. We don't use identity to campaign, no issue of religion, ethnicity, and all of that. We totally avoid hate speech, and we don't use bad language. We don't use fake news. We don't use false propaganda. And we try as much as possible to comply with the Electoral Act in terms of how to conduct rallies. We totally avoid violence. We don't use talks. We don't pay talks. We don't buy votes. We don't sell votes. We don't do money politics. And we respect the office that we are running for, and we conduct ourselves as if we've already taken the oath of office for that office. That is what I signed today, and that's what I'm committed to. And I sign not only with my hand, I sign with my heart, and to live up to it, and to commend the Peace Committee for taking this matter seriously, even though some in the political space, especially those in government, take it as a joke and they're not serious about it. However, the Peace Committee is taking it seriously, and the chairman of the Peace Committee and the members have shown to Nigeria that it is possible to pursue a national objective without being in government, and doing it consistently over the years in search of peace. The reason why we've not managed to have peace so far is that peace is impossible without justice. And
what do you mean by that?
Electoral justice will bring peace automatically. In a system where every player in the electoral process follows the law, where the government of the day does not put his thumb on the scale, where INEC is truly independent and nationalistic, and they follow the commission given to them to conduct free, fair, and credible elections, and the voters vote according to their conscience, according to their consciousness, whether they vote the right person or not, they vote freely, without inducement, without harassment. And the result is a mathematical, arithmetical exactitude of what the voters voted. That will automatically bring you peace. You don't even need a peace committee searching for peace that is not missing, because the tool for getting peace is justice. So when you do electoral justice, peace by itself will come to you.
Yeah. So you say that there is no peace without justice.
It's impossible.
So are you saying that you do not trust the electoral system you're asking people to vote under?
What I'm saying is that the electoral system needs a lot of improvement. When I'm president, I will not choose INEC chairman. I will not control their money.
But that's not your forte. The law says if you become president, you determine that.
I will change the law, because the laws are meant, those laws did not write themselves. In fact, when Yar'Adua came, President Umaru Yar'Adua, one of the things he agreed with us was to set up the Ways panel to try to change that. So, pending that time, we will try to let INEC be independent, let the law enforcement, the police, the DSS, civil defense, all of the military, let them be totally agnostic to politics. Let them not influence politics. Let them not take political instructions. Let their presence during election not even be a subject for discussion. And let the election be free, fair, and civilized. And with that, I can guarantee you that as president, the Peace Committee will be idle during my time, because the person who has the greatest possibility of establishing peace in the land is the president of the country, or the governor of a state. So if you look at it, that in the recent elections, peace accords were signed. And if you see those rapscallion governors who left their states to Osun to make trouble up and down, including the minister of the FCT, who said, if I was there, APC would not have lost, and other things like that. Those are the things that threaten peace. Those are the things that threaten.
Is it a crime for you to go and support your party member? Don't you go around to support candidates running for election under your platform?
There are two things we need to consider. One, when you go to campaign, you don't go as lawless wanderers. You go peacefully like any other person. You make speeches that are consistent with the peace and good governance of the place, and you do not come and show massive state power. You do go in a civilized way. If you have any idea, if you have friends, you can be governor of Edo State, governor of Imo State. You may have friends in Osun State. You may have friends in Ekiti. You may have friends elsewhere. So you go and use your friendship, your goodwill. If you have people you know there, you go and campaign and say, vote for my party, but not in this organized invasion that they organize. It is not proper. Those are the things which, if you do them, because I want us to understand that in signing the peace accord, we're not doing the country a favor. We are signing to what we ordinarily should do. When I read through it, I didn't see anything which I wasn't doing already, included there. So I think it's in the Bible that they say it's only the sick that need the physician. And the people who needed the physician did not come today.
Who are those?
President Tinubu is the #1 promoter of election violence. He's the one promoter of all the confusion, and he refused to come. Maybe he doesn't want to be committed to it. Maybe he feels that...
He sent a representative, the SGF.
Oh, please. This is an insult to the process. The SGF is not involved in the election. You have your vice president who could come. I don't see any reason why President Tinubu, who works and lives in Abuja, and who has the influence of influencing the date where the thing will be signed, and who has given assurance that he will come. But I think that President Tinubu has been missing action for some time. I don't know if you who are reporters have noticed. I don't know if it's a ghost worker or whatever it is, because a president cannot be so invisible like that. So something is...
But we see him at meetings, receiving guests in the presidential villa.
Oh, okay.
Today, we understand that he's had a closed-door meeting with the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio.
Okay, if he's
just
closing,
moments away.
If he's closing his door, that's not doing our work. I'm talking about the president showing up in places where presidents are supposed to show up.
For example, this very one.
This one is very important.
Do you count this as an insult that he was absent, or how do you see it? What do you interpret it? If you were President Bola Tinubu and you had other commitments...
I should be president myself. I can't be President Bola Tinubu. It's not a good example to say. What I can say is that there isn't anything... I can't say it's an insult, because the behavior of President Tinubu generally is an insult. Regular behavior is an insult to the country.
What do you mean?
The way he speaks, the way he conducts his affairs, the way he doesn't obey the law. So he is, his standard behavior of the president is already an automatic insult to the country. And he thinks he does it anyhow. I want to be respectful, but you cannot be running presidential anyhowness. A system where the president has no code of conduct, I don't know whether he has no advisors. President is the tone setter for the country. So he disregards things and disparage things. So what the president wanted to do was to ridicule the process by his absence and by the nonchalance with which he handled it, and the level of deputation that he does. Because if you are signing a contract, you cannot designate somebody who has no capacity to sign the contract. If it was a contract, which it is, it's not valid.
But in law, subrogation is allowed.
The subrogation is allowed where the law establishing that power allows to subrogate. In fact, in law, you cannot delegate certain things. You cannot delegate...
What about Atiku? You're talking only about Tinubu. Atiku too. Yeah. ADC, they were absent.
Atiku is the person looking for presidency. It's not the president. The president has a duty to the country. I have a duty to the country, but my duty is less than that of the president. When I become president, you will see my behavior.
All right. Give me a moment, sir.
It will be very clear.
Yeah, give me a moment, sir. Let me take this break. But when we come back, the question will be, Prince Adewale Adebayo, the campaigns will start tomorrow. What does this mean going forward for this country? Are we to expect something different from INEC? Because INEC says it's not biased and it doesn't belong to any political party. What does that mean? We'll touch on that when we return from this break, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Prince Adewale Adebayo is one of those who signed the peace accord today. The peace signing ceremony is an indication of the commitment of those participating in the 2027 general election, that they commit to peaceful conduct ahead of the elections. Campaigns will resume tomorrow, or will start tomorrow. What do you see ahead of this election? INEC says it is committed, it's not biased, it doesn't belong to any political party, and that it will conduct a free, fair, and credible elections. Do you believe INEC?
I say amen. It's a prayer, and it's something we need to make happen. Not that INEC can make it happen on its own. If it's a desire that I can never go against, but there are steps we need to take. I don't even know whether INEC has even got the money that they need to do the election, because President Tinubu and his government have managed to put INEC in a position where INEC cannot plan properly. They are holding their money, they are holding them to ransom. I think that INEC doesn't belong to the president, it doesn't belong to any candidate, it doesn't belong to any party. That's the law of the land. And it's left for Nigerian people to make sure that this election, we take advantage of it, and we do all we can to make sure that we participate. 100-something million voters, we should try to get at least 85 to 90 million people coming out to vote, and vote according to their conscience without selling our votes. That is important. And for the campaign, you will see that the SDP, we brought out our manifesto, Farewell to Poverty and Insecurity, and we will launch it very soon in Abuja by next week. And we're already going around the country, exchanging ideas with people, talking to sector leaders, talking to all shades of opinion in the country, to try to develop everything that is contained in our Constitution, Chapter 2, Fundamental Objective and Directive Principle of State Policy, to see that we have a country where no one is hungry, no one is homeless, no one is without medical care, no one is without employment if they want to work, and that every child is guaranteed the maximum education necessary to develop their talent. So those are the things the SDP will sell, so that we go from where Abiola left it, the Farewell to Poverty, in 1993. We'll now, so that no Nigeria will say, "Attire for life," under our government. That is what we're focused upon. But it's important that this election be done in an atmosphere of free, that is fair, that is credible, and that is peaceful. And President Tinubu not showing up today is showing that he's not committed to peace. He's sending a wrong signal to law enforcement, to people who work for the government, that the president looks like he's not committed enough. So he needs to correct that by making a clear statement, explaining why he's absent, and making sure that he makes a statement committing himself to the peace
You can
process.
imagine it might be a matter of I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. What if it was held back by issues of state?
There is no issue of state grander than a president showing that democracy is important.
Even with national security. President Buhari says that issues of national security and our democratic values, they need the debate around national security, and when issues of democracy, you need to be able to...
There's no more national security than the continuity of the state. The state has to exist. And the free, fair, and credible election is important for establishing civil government.
So you are weighing what is a moral event of today as equal to issues of national security.
This is the most important thing, the issue in the country, because the continuity of democracy, it is this process that made him president, the process of election. And 4 years ago, he was around. And now, President Buhari, who was not even contesting, came around. And the most committed president so far, since the process began, has been President Goodluck Jonathan. It is good for you as a leader to signal that we're a civilized society, we believe in the peace process. And if you look at eminent Nigerians, John Cardinal Noyekon, and other people who are in that peace committee, Professor Gubadia, Matiluta Aguai, these are eminent people in their own career who could have been president if they ran for election. So it's important for the president to be serious and to send that signal down, because as a leader of the country, if you say peace doesn't matter, you can be absent, when, from what I understand, everything was made to accommodate the president, including timing, including date, and you gave word that you're going to be there, and it's something that is personal to you because you are the one elected, you are the one who will commit, and you are the one who will say, the way I said it loudly, that you will commit yourself. I have a feeling that in addition to President Tinubu's tardy way of behaving recently, where he doesn't show up, he just locks himself up somewhere, nobody knows where he is, but in addition to this, he has contempt for the peace process, just trying to say, I can't commit myself. I am a snatcher and grabber and a person who runs away with bandits. I don't want to sit down with you and commit myself that I'm going to be peaceful. If you look at how...
But legally speaking, he's not bound by it. It is a moral issue, not a legal issue.
He's bound by it because he has a constitutional mandate to be a moral leader. So when he took that oath of office on May 29, 2023 at Eagle Square, he is saying that I will respect the Constitution of Nigeria. And the Constitution of Nigeria says we should have free, fair, and credible election. And the Electoral Act has provisions which the president and his people violated in Osun. Do you know what it means for a country to be clapping and say we had a governorship election and there are 41 people or more in the mortuary? How do you do that? What kind of country allows for a system where people will lose their lives and limb, where they will lynch people in the afternoon? A president who has seen that will now use this opportunity to come forward, to even make a comment to say, my government will investigate what happened in Osun. It will not happen again. President Tinubu has proven that it's a moral failure, and a moral failure is not what the country needs to do.
All right. SDP presidential candidate in the 2027 election, Prince Adewale Adebayo. Thank you so much indeed for
Thank you, and may God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Wakimbale. God bless Nigeria.